Welcome to episode 5 of the Rated Rabbi Sports Card Podcast. A sports card podcast where a middle-aged man sits in the basement alone, talking to himself about rectangles of cardboard and remembers an all-star game from 1984 that has long been forgotten. I'm okay with all of that, as it turns out. Welcome to the Rated Rabbi Sports Card Podcast, a podcast where sports culture and pop culture meet the 1984 All-Star Game. I'm in a cheeky mood this afternoon. My name is Rabbi David Spinrad. And welcome to episode 5. Let's meet the visitors. We're going to look at the AL rosters, the benches today. This is part 1 of 2. Next time we'll look at the AL starters. I'm having a really good time collecting cards. I got back into it because I hadn't been taking care of myself. I mean, I had no space in my life for me. Like a lot of folks, deep into COVID. I remember at one point I hadn't had like 6 months without a day off. And I was all right. A lot of folks had it way worse, but pastoral needs were heavy at that time. All the way through the high holidays. Now, we put together high holidays, digital high holidays from 3 different locations. We had an AV dude in one of them with our cantor. Our other rabbi was in her apartment. I was here in the basement, man. We pulled that off. But there wasn't a lot of room for Dave. A lot of Rabbi Spinrad, but not a lot of me. And then around January 2021, everyone was like, cars are going crazy. And I dipped back in. Man, what a great journey it's been. I found room for myself again and got back into some nostalgia, which led me to the 84 All-Star Game, which is the genesis of this show. An outcome of putting together a master set, a self-created master set of the 1984 All-Star Game. We've got the 60-man rosters, 30 and 30, NL and AL. We've got our 5 announcers, 2 throughout honorary first pitches, 2 were honorary captains, and 1 was in the stands, the Yankee Clipper, Joe DiMaggio. So I'm almost there. I've almost got the set together and diving into these players and this game. I just got the idea for the pod, and it took me a while to figure out how to do it. And I'm like, oh yeah, just have fun. Pretend like you're in your basement talking to yourself about cardboard with grown men on them. Oh, let's talk a little cards. Let's talk a little ball. All right. Broadcast begins unnoted by the broadcasters, but caught by this fervent 13-year-old Giants fan, baseball fan. It's the voice not of the normal PA announcer. It's the voice of play-by-play man, Hank Greenwald. Oh my God, like some of you have been. Marty Brenneman, Ernie Harwell, Vin Scully, whoever. So my guy, right? My guy was Hank. Hank was the Giants play-by-play guy from 79 to 86. Jumps to the Yankees for 87, 88. Bad move, man. You missed that NL West title. But comes back in time for 89. And actually, to this day, my favorite call of his is when Will Clark got that smash base hit up the middle against Wild Thing Mitch Williams to beat the Cubs in Game 5 of the NLCS and send the Giants to the World Series. Oh my God. I will drop a link to that call in the description. And actually, the clip also has this little bonus, his call of Kevin Mitchell in St. Louis. I think Ozzie was at the plate. Kevin Mitchell going left field line, reaching back and catching it barehanded. The guy was nuts. So I'll put that in the notes. All right. Before we get to the lineups, I want to take a second just to pause on that LCS and that call and actually remember the amazing series that Will the Thrill had. So let's take a look at some cards. Yes, indeed. And yes, indeed. So NLCS 1989, Will Clark, and that's his rookie, 1987 Fleer. You can say his 87 tops. You can say his 87 Donruss, but don't come at me with that tops traded mess. It didn't come from a pack, and it's not his rookie card. This card here, the 87 Fleer, I remember going to a Moscone Center TriStar show in 1989. They were selling stacks of these at $20 a pop. I remember before grading, right? So it's just raw, $20 a pop. Boom, 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 boom. Did a little math on it. $20 then would be like a stack of raw cards selling for 48.52 a piece. Oh, hey, pay attention, ultra modern collectors, because this card is not worth 48.52 anymore, and neither will yours be soon. That was one of my great rediscoveries when I got back in. A lot of my cards were in binders like a time capsule. I'm like, who is this guy? Earl Cunningham. They were like these first round picks. Who were some of the other? Everybody. It was on Greg Jeffries. Who else? Ben McDonald. Tyler Flowers, a catcher. Just like these dudes, like, who are these? Careful on those prospects, boys and girls. Anyway, I love that card. Wanted to show it to you. Let's do one more thing. I want to read the back of Will the Thrill's baseball card. There he is. That is commemorating that 1990 score, is commemorating that great series he has against the Cubs. And here is the text. Actually, first it says, it's card number 699. It says 1989 highlight, the thrill. In an unreal display of clutch hitting, Will the Thrill knocked the Cubs out of the 89 NL playoffs. In game one, he went 4 for 4 with 2 home runs, 1 a grand slam, parenthetically, out of Wrigley into the night, to drive in a record 6 runs as the Giants defeated the Cubs 11-3. In game 5, Will tripled in the 7th inning and scored the Giants' first run. Here it comes. His 2-out 8th inning 2-run single won the game 3-2 and the NLCS MVP honors. He lives to be in that situation, said teammate Robert Thompson. Overall, Will set NLCS records with 13 hits in 20 at-bats, 8 runs, 6 extra base hits, 24 total bases, a .650 batting average, and a 1.2 slugging percentage, a 1,200 slug. Pretty good. That's my man. Will the Thrill. I got to get a good Will Clark card. I don't know what it is, though. I don't know what to do. Most of his best cards come peak junk. Like when I was a collector, that probably is his best card, at least in my memory. The one card I think that I would like to get is I'd actually like to get the 93 Topps Finest Refractor of Will. Another great team. When he teams with Bonds and Matt Williams, Burkett and Swift win 20. That would be cool to get that refractor, first year Topps Finest Refractor. I didn't collect, but that would be one I would really like. All right. So the players are lined up, and let's be honest with ourselves. How many times at an All-Star game is the best part of the game the introductions? Let's say almost always. There's something about seeing those players all lined up on the field, the best of the best. The stars are out to shine, and you just get to see everybody in their uniforms. And that's how it was on that day in July 1984. All-Stars up on the third baseline, starting with the world champion Baltimore Orioles, Eddie Murray. Mike Boddicker had a good career. Kind of the only All-Star game, but Mike Boddicker, real solid, also with Boston. Speaking of Boston, next, outfielder Jim Rice. and outfielder Tony Harmus. From the White Sox, pitcher Rich Dotson. Representing the Cleveland Indians, designated hitter Andre Thornton. From the Detroit Tigers, shortstop Alan Trammell, who was at the game, even though he had an injury. So he pulls out, and Alfredo Griffin gets the nod. Good story coming up on how Alfredo and why Alfredo got there. After Trammell is Willie Hernandez. I think Willie Hernandez wins like 1984. Comes over from the Phillies in a trade for it's like Johnny Walkenfuss and it's somebody else. I definitely know Johnny Walkenfuss was part of that trade. They needed a lefty before the season was started. I remember reading a thing. It's a great oral history about the '84 Detroit Tigers, about their 35 and 5 start to the season. Oh my gosh, remember that? So go to that website. Let me give you a shout, vintagedetroit.com. Search for it, 35 and 5. Willie Hernandez comes over, and Hernandez has the season of his life, right? He wins not only the Cy Young, not only the MVP, not only the World Series, he wins the affection of my heart. I'm just kidding. What a season for Willie. He has like one more good year. Unbelievable. He just has a season out of his mind. Uh, Next, after Trammell and Hernandez, Jack Morris. You remember Jack Morris throws a no-no? First Saturday, early April, it's like freezing. They're in the old Comiskey. NBC brings in the A team. Yeah, White Sox are defending champs. Tigers are loaded. Who's in the booth? Vin and Joe. Vin Scully, Joe Garaggioli. You know, when you heard those voices, life was good. Saturday, 10 o'clock. That was probably it was a 2-hour time difference in California. It's probably 11 o'clock, but I definitely watched this game. Like blustery cold Jack Morris. I don't think he was Fu Manchu. Not yet. Let's take a look at a Jack Morris card and some others that are queuing up. Here we go. Oh, that's weird. Hang on. I think I lost my camera. Let's try to do this and see if it's the same way. I got cards to show you, people. So strange. Let's do this again. Bear with me, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, I lost my card. All right, you know what? We're gonna improvise. The show must go on. Instead of the card cam, we'll go hold up the card to the picture cam. Solo camera now. I'll try one more time, see if I can add the camera. And if I can't, that's okay. The show must go on. All right. So where were we? Back? We're on Jack Morris. We're talking about that 35 and 5 start. We're talking about him throwing the no-no on the opening Saturday with Vin and Joe in the booth. So let's look at a Jack Morris 84. A young Jack Morris. Not that exciting of a card. What'd you say? You agree with me? He probably shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame either. Yeah, and I mean, I'm with you. I mean, he pitched a long time. My buddy Adam lives for that game against the Braves. You could ask him. He loves that game. It was a great game. It was the Braves. Oh, what the hell was that? Yeah, he was on the Twins at that point. It was the World Series 1991 Game 7. I remember. All right. Anyway, after I kind of got thrown by my little AV mishap. They keep going down the third base line towards home plate. Next from the Kansas City Royals is Dan Quisenberry. From the Milwaukee Braves. Milwaukee Braves. Well, from the Milwaukee Braves, Joe Adcock. No, from the Milwaukee Brewers, Jim Sundberg. I'm showing a Jim Sundberg card because Jim Sundberg is one of those guys where I have this almost like a what's it called? Like a neurological diversity in my brain. Like I get reds and greens mixed up, and sometimes like blues and purples mixed up. It's like an eye thing. Similarly, for me, I always screw up Jim Sundberg and Daryl Porter, and sometimes Ted Simmons. I like an amalgam of dudes. Thing about Jim Sundberg is he was a longtime Texas Ranger. Yeah, he was a Ranger from, I have a note. He was a Ranger from 74 to 83. He won 6 consecutive Gold Gloves: 1976, 77, 78, 79, 80, and 81. He gets traded to the Brewers prior to the 1984 season. This is actually his only season with the Brew Crew, who were an American League team back then. I grew up, they were an AL team. Let's run that down. Remember, they started in Seattle. They were the Seattle Pilots in 1969. After 1969, they moved to Milwaukee, renamed as the Brewers. They play in the AL West for that first year, Seattle, which makes sense when they established them. They stay there for 70 and 71. And then they get moved from 72 to 93. And this is what I remember. They were in the AL East. 1972 through 1993, they were in the AL East. They get sort of put a little closer to home. They're a Midwestern team. When they do the 3 divisions, they move to the AL Central from 94 to 97. And then they've been in the NL Central from 1998 unto this day. All right, moving on. We've got from the Minnesota Twins catcher Dave Engel, from the New York Yankees in his first All-Star game, Donnie Ball game, Don Mattingly, and also from the Yankees cast off by the Atlanta Braves, we have Phil Niekro, who gets such a loud ovation because I'm guessing there were a lot of middle-aged guys who just were feeling Phil. From the Oakland A's, Ricky Henderson, and pitcher Bill Caudill. Next card we're going to show is 1984 Topps Traded of Alvin Davis. All right, this was a card, man, even though, again, not his rookie, but Alvin Davis was a hot rookie. Really interesting guy. He's from Southern California. Gets drafted by the Giants out of high school, instead goes to ASU. Arizona State always plays serious baseball. It's where Bonds went. So goes to college, goes to ASU. Then I believe after his junior year, the A's try to grab him. Stays in college, ends up getting drafted ultimately, right where he goes. He goes to play for the Seattle Mariners for plays for 9 total seasons in the big leagues, all but one of them with the Angels. In his last season, 1992, Davis goes from the California Angels, who signed him, kind of going back home. They release him, though, and he ends up playing in Japan. God, what's that? That's that Tom Selleck movie where he's a washed-up ball player, goes to Japan. Somebody send me a comment. Mr. Big League? No, Mr. 3000 is that guy, other guy. Mr. Big League? Somebody throw me a bone. Put it in the comments. What's that Tom Selleck movie that I'm like, wow, if I was a washed up ball player, I would definitely go play in Japan, except maybe too many practices. But it would be amazing to go live in Japan, make yen, and just chill out. All right. So Alvin Davis, this is his only all-star game, goes on to a solid career. 280 average, 160 lifetime homers. One more note about Alvin Davis. I have a note here. Davis begins the season in AAA. In the first game of the season, first baseman Ken Phelps injures himself. Davis is called to the bigs and sets a Seattle Mariner and still a major league record for most consecutive times getting on base to start a career. That's a pretty cool stat. So Alvin Davis reached base in his first 47 games as a big leaguer. You could look it up. All right. Getting back to the introductions from the Texas Rangers, Buddy Bell. From the Toronto Blue Jays, injury replacement Alfredo Griffin, and his double play combo mate Damaso Garcia, who's I just found him so like handsome, like a handsome Damaso Garcia. I don't know, something about him. All right, the coaches from the Detroit Tigers, manager Sparky Lyle. From the Chicago White Sox, Tony La Russa. From the Oakland A's, manager Jackie Moore. From the Toronto Blue Jays, Jimmy Williams. From the Baltimore Orioles, Cal Ripken Sr. Trainers from the Baltimore Orioles, Ralph Salvon, and from the California Angels, Rick, what's his name? Rick Smith, who's an icon. Let's say Rick Smith's. All right. Home stretch. I got 3 more cards to show you. I want to show you that La Russa. He's kind of been an interesting cat over the years. Can you see that? Okay, good. All right. Got the that's just definitely a spring training picture. Got the red warm up. I'm actually here to talk logo first, which is awesome in the corner. Had that all through the 80s. And I want to talk hat and jersey. I just love this logo. So we've got our Tony La Russa, right? I really just showed him because I wanted to show you the uni, and now we're going to close it out with 2 sweet cards. Oh yeah. Let's get that in there. Oh yeah. You see that? I'm looking for real love. Yeah, 83 Fleer. I'm not afraid to say it. Oh my gosh. Ron Kittle, Rookie of the Year, 1983, one-time All-Star, 1983. Where was the game? Old Comiskey. That had to be a great throw for the young man. I have to be honest with you that when I was a kid, I had a second favorite team. I was one of those kids. Yeah, I mean, a bit of a dilettante, but I was super into this 83 White Sox team. Giants were sucking. And Kittle became kind of like my like second, like almost like a I don't know, like a favorite player on the side. Jack Clark, he didn't have to know anything. So Ron Kittle, man, I love that guy. Pretty limited, but he hits some home runs. Young guy, exciting, great team. That team, I think, goes wire to wire, finishes 20 games. They actually like probably peaked too early, and then the Orioles knock them out in the LCS. But Kittle's got the white hat on. You can see the socks, and you see he's wearing a white jersey home. I'm going to put it down so we can focus on the other card. None other than the Bull. Oh, wrong card. The Bull, Greg Luzinski. Wow. That's all. That's Bull in his mightiness. He's got that. That's that uni's tight on you, Bull. I had this same jersey. It's the road jersey, gray with that socks in white with the blue and the red right across front. This is the uni they wore from 82 to 86. And I still think it's sublime. There's just something about that uni. The Sox have done some cool stuff over the years. This one stands out. I'm reading the back. Luzinski had some great seasons. A 4-time All-Star, 76 through 79, finishes second in the MVP in 77 to George Foster, who calls 52 round trippers. No one talks like that. So, my arm's getting tired. I don't want to keep it up. Okay. So Luzinski has some great years for the Phillies, goes over, becomes pretty much a DH. Reading the back of the card, it says, Luzinski enjoys ranch with his wings. Just kidding. I didn't really say that. Kind of one of those guys, kind of in like the Freddie Lynn universe where you sort of forget these guys were dominant for a stretch. All right. What did we do today? We had a little technical error, but that was okay because it didn't override the joy that I felt, that I just feel talking cards. Let's look back. We talked about Will the Thrill, that 89 LCS, that incredible card, 1990 score. We did just a short a little touch of Jack Morris, a little 35-5. I'll argue he's not a Hall of Famer again. We took the Jim Sundberg. I talked about my disability where I confused Jim Sundberg and who's the other guy? Daryl Porter and Ted Simmons. Oh, last thing about I forgot Sundberg. Sundberg was traded for Ned Yost. Like, oh, thanks. I know what I'd do with myself if I didn't know he was traded for. And then we just took a quick look at Alvin Davis, that impressive 47 game streak to start a career. A little toe in the water with Tony La Russa. Then we really enjoyed ourselves with Kittle and the bull Greg Luzinski. Dang, big boy. All right, friends. Thank you so much for being a part of this. Do me a favor. Give me a like. Give me a subscribe. Leave a comment. Best of all, tell a friend. Until I see you next time, may you enjoy health and long life. So long for now.